Hi guys, how are you today? I hope that you're fine back home. So this is second video for chapter 7 web server. So in this video, I'm going to share with you information about web server function, type of web server, some little bit on the web server architecture, and then later I'm going to give to you just a simple assignment about Microsoft IIS or Microsoft Internet Information Service, where you have this installation for this web server in your computer. So that's all. Bye bye. I believe that all of you have already know what actually web server is all about, and probably some of you have already used web server in your previous project. So today we're going to do some revisits to the web server. So web server is actually a specialized software that responds to the client request by providing resource. So one of the main or the popular web server available in the market now is Apache. So there are also several other web server that are available in the market now, but Apache, I believe it is one of the most popular that available to the web developer. So when the user enter URL into the web browser, so they are going to request some specific document which located inside the web server. So what the web server do is that based on the URL that's entered by the browser, the web server will return the request of the document to the client. If you look at this figure, you find out that most clients, especially when you're using the server-side scripting, so they are requesting some records from the database. So what the web server did is that it will fetch all this record from the database, combine it together, and send it back to the client so that the client can display the information that they gathered from the web server inside the web browser. So let's look at the function of the web server. There are two essential types of requests made to the web server by the web browser from the client side. First one is to ask the file, which is normally a static file, especially HTML file or images that need to be written back to the web browser. And the second one is to ask for the program or script to be run on the web server side. And this type normally requests for record from the database to be returned to the client. Now let's look at the web server statistic. If you look at the statistic for the usage of web server for website based on the table, you find out that Apache and Nginx is the most popular web server being used by the web developer at this moment. Other type of web servers such as IIS, web server, GWS, and Apache Tomcat is also being used by the web developer, but the most popular one is Apache and Nginx. This is because mainly these two web servers are open source web server and they are free to be used by the web developer. In this chapter, I'm going to introduce to you three types of web server. The first one is Internet Information Service or IIS. This is the kind of web server that you can find inside Windows platform. Either you are using Windows 7, Windows 8 or Windows 10, you can get it for free by installing IIS into this Windows. The second one is called Nginx, which is the web server that you can get it by installing Windows WinMNP. So downloading WinMNP into your computer, so you can install this software and you can get the service for Nginx. And the third one, which is a common one, is Apache Web Server, which is something that you can get by installing XAMPP into your computer. Once you install XAMPP, you are allowed to use this Apache Web Server into your web development system. Now let's briefly describe the type of web server that I mentioned earlier in the previous slide. We start with Microsoft Internet Information Service or Microsoft IIS. For information, IIS is an extensible web server that's been created by Microsoft. So this is a web server that allows web developers who are choosing Windows platform to develop their web system. So the current version of IIS is version 10. Most of the web developers who use IIS normally they are developing a web system using active server pages or the ASP. But nowadays, apart from ASP, developers also are allowed to use other type of platform, framework, and also languages with the IIS to develop their web system. And if you look at this slide, this is the snapshot of IIS inside the Windows. The second type of web server that I want to discuss in this chapter is Nginx. So Nginx is a very popular web server. It has been used by many web services for doing a lot of jobs such as proxy server, mail server, and etc. It is originally written by a person named Igor Chisoev and is being used by many big companies such as Dropbox, Netflix, and also WordPress. If you install WinNMP inside your system, you can get Nginx, and this is a snapshot of Nginx run inside the computer. The third web server that I want to discuss in this chapter is Apache Web Server, which is my favorite web server. I believe that you already know that Apache is a free and open source web server. And Apache is developed and maintained by a community called ASF or the Apache Software Foundation. The Apache not only serves the HTML file, but it also can serve wide range of files such as MP3, video file, RLS, and etc. At the current moment, developers normally use Apache with PHP and MySQL database. If you install XAMPP into your computer and you run XAMPP, and you are going to get Apache service as what you can see inside this snapshot. Regardless of the web server that you choose for your web development, all of these web servers normally develop under the 3-tier of web server architecture. The architecture consists of 3 tiers, which include the client, the middle tier, and the information tier. Let's discuss in brief all these tiers. We start with the client tier or the upper tier. The client tier, or also known as the presentation tier, include device to make requests and display the web content, where in this tier normally the browser is located. The middle tier is a tier where the web server is located, and it is mainly used to service the client request. Not only this tier execute the script, but the middle tier also execute other web services such as proxy server, load balancing, and etc. Now on the lower tier, which is the information tier, this is the tier where it consists the database system. In this tier, all the record will be stored, and inside this tier also, the database management system or DBMS is used to manage the data which is located inside the database system. For the assignment, I want you to install Microsoft IIS in your computer. Please capture all the steps that is required to do the installation, and you can capture this step by using applications such as Screencast-O-Matic. And then bonus will be given if you can capture your face in the video. Please send the assignment before our next lab, which is on the 6th of May 2020. All the best for you.